You're listening to the Loving Your Own Soul podcast, and I'm your host, Britt Olson. Guided by my own intuition, my intention is to deliver genuine conversations centered around health and wellness, spirituality, self-expression, and culture. In this space, I will provide you with real-life stories, theories, and inspiring perspectives to help you uncover and tap into your own true potential. I'm so grateful you've chosen to tune in with me on this mindful exploration to living a more fluid life through a deeper connection to the soul. Now let's dive into today's journey. Hello and welcome to the Loving Your Own Soul podcast. I'm your host, Britt Olson, and I am so grateful to have you tuning in here with me today for such a special conversation with one of just the most loveliest souls out there. We've got Holly joining us from Hawaii, and if you have been listening to this podcast for a little while now, you are already familiar with Holly as you initially heard her healing journey via medical medium principles discussed back over on episode 13 as she truly healed her body inside and out from PCOS and chronic cystic acne through the power of plants and the medical medium lifestyle. So she is such an inspiration and just proof of the healing power of plants in our world. If you are new here and are not familiar with the first half of Holly's healing journey, as she is now entered into phase 2, which we will get into in this episode, as we have a very, very exciting announcement for all of you. But first and foremost, if you're new here or you're not familiar with Holly's journey, definitely head back over to episode 13. I highly encourage you to listen to that episode before you tune in to this episode. Both are so inspirational, and they really just give so much empowerment and understanding of the power that we really hold within ourselves. The answers are always deep within us, and Holly again just paints such a beautiful picture of doing the hard work and coming out on the other side and just enjoying the journey the entire time. So grateful to have all of you tuning in here with us, and so grateful to have Holly joining us all the way from the island of Hawaii on our podcast again for a second time. We are just, so excited. Just a couple quick announcements before we get into today's episode. I don't want to take too much of your time because I do want to just honor all of the beauty that resides within Holly's journey. As some of you might be familiar, through my holistic wellness company, Ambu, I have been hosting Modern Wellness Community Mornings, which are the last Friday of every month, always starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And for all who attend, these are free virtual meetups on Zoom, simply creating a community of like-minded beings and souls and individual creatives, entrepreneurs, those in the wellness space, really just individuals from all over to come together, start the morning off on the right foot, and then also just to really create a beautiful close out of the month that we are closing out of as well. So they are so much fun. They're always free, always virtual, so you can really join from whatever comfortable space makes sense to you. And this month of October, on Friday, October 30th, we will be joined by Lindsay Schroeder of Hour and R. And Lindsay is an intuitive, spiritual, and wellness and business and mindset coach. And Lindsay will be walking us through how to really harness and dive into our intuitive gifts as well as the 5 clair senses, because all of us have our own psychic abilities, whether we are aware of them or not. They really do exist inside of all of us. And Lindsay is going to guide us how to just really dive in, tap in, and start understanding each of our psychic abilities and how we can utilize them throughout the other parts of our life outside of our morning shared safe space together. And with that being said, it is also a really pivotal time of the year and the month, because that Saturday on Halloween, there is a super rare, a blue Halloween full moon. So within our community morning space together, Lindsay is also going to walk us through a special meditation that we can all utilize to really open up our manifestation pathways. There's a link in the show notes where you will be able to sign up and join, or you can always just DM me on Instagram at Loving Your Own Soul to learn more. And then in November will be our final Modern Wellness Community Morning of the year for 2020, as I'll be taking a break in December to really just tune in and connect within myself, charge up and everything like that. So November will be our final Modern Wellness Community Morning until 2021, and we will be joined by Carrie McGinn for a conversation about how to nourish ourselves this holiday season. Carrie's name might sound familiar to you because she was a guest on the podcast back, I think it was episode 21, and is another just such a special soul herself. She carries so much wisdom and intuitive intellect, all about our bodies and movement and how to really tap in intuitively through movement, exercise, and just honoring who we are as unique individuals. But in November, Carrie will be sharing so many valuable just tips and tricks and mindset and all the things to really carry us through a graceful holiday season that I know so many of us are just looking forward to and can also use just a little bit of extra support as well. It's going to be fun. Those are just a couple things to bring you up to speed about. And then, as always, if you do enjoy your time here on the podcast, ratings and reviews are truly the best way to help us grow the listener base in order to continue sharing all of these special stories near and far, far and wide, and just ensure that the right ears are able to gain the perspectives gleaned from these special guests and just really help more people understand themselves and tap into their own true potential. So if you feel called to leave a rating and review for this podcast, I would be ever so grateful. And in exchange, we'll be sending you a special gift. So all you have to do is rate and review, take a screenshot of your rating and review as proof, and then email it to me to lovingyourownsoul@gmail.com. And in exchange, I will send you a special gift. But without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Holly, hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on here for a second go around.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be back. It feels like we just spoke like 2 weeks ago.
I know, it totally does. And it's crazy that it is October and the last time we spoke was June. And I mean, life just happens so much. For anybody listening who's not familiar with you or maybe hasn't listened to the previous episode, we had you on for episode 13, where we spoke all about your health journey and applying medical medium lifestyle and principles to really completely, totally heal your PCOS and cystic acne and everything like that. And now we've got you back on here because for those of who have not listened to the episode, they should definitely go back and listen to understand where you are coming from. And for those who have listened and have been following your journey, you have a super special and amazing announcement to make that I am just so honored to talk about this next just kind of round of your journey.
Yeah, so the exciting news is I am pregnant, and it's so crazy because you know what? When we spoke last time, I think the episode came out in June, but I think we spoke earlier than that. And yes. I was actually pregnant when we were talking and I didn't even know yet.
That's right.
I think I must have been like 1 week or 2 weeks or something, like super early stages. But yeah, it's really crazy, but it's so exciting. It's a super special time right now. My husband and I are just in absolute bliss, and it's still, sometimes it still doesn't even feel real. I still can't believe it, but my tummy I'm like 6 months now. My tummy is really starting to grow very quickly. I swear it changes every single day. But things are happening really fast now, and it's really sinking in. But yeah, we're so happy. I'm so grateful that I get to experience this, and it's really been a beautiful journey so far.
That's so amazing. Oh, I am so happy for you. When you told me, I still just smile from ear to ear. I get full.
I feel the same way. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those maybe who are not as familiar with your journey, at one time you were actually told that you would never be able to get pregnant, I believe, if that's correct.
Yeah. So quite a few years back, I forget how old I was, but it was my early 20s, mid 20s. that's when I was actually diagnosed with PCOS. At that point, I mean, I was so sick. I had so many issues going on in my body, but the PCOS was just like out of control and I was really not in a good place. And I kind of self-diagnosed myself just from my own research online, and then went to go and see a gynecologist just to kind of get a real like firm diagnosis. And when I went there, she did an ultrasound and just my ovaries were just covered in cysts and just really not looking good. And she basically told me that I was like pretty much infertile and that the chances were very, very high that I would not be able to get pregnant, and that she literally told me to start saving for IVF or start looking into adoption. So that was a very devastating time for me. And it was also what really sparked the fire inside me to kind of take control of my health and, you know, make the necessary changes. And it's the reason why I've been doing what I've been doing for the last 3.5 years to heal my body.
Full circle, and you just look so healthy and so vibrant. You are such a beautiful pregnant mama, and I just so
Thank you.
honor your journey. But how was that for you once you first found out that you were pregnant? What was that experience like?
Oh my God, it was just shocking. I still remember the day. I still remember exactly where I was. I remember what I was doing. I remember just every single detail because I just couldn't believe it. You know, I've come so far with my health over the last 3.5 years. And I always knew deep down that, you know, I would be able to get pregnant and that my health is in such a better, you know, I've done so much work and my health I could tell that my body is kind of back into alignment, but there still was like a little bit of fear there deep down subconsciously, I think, just like that what if, like, oh my God, like I feel really great, but like what after all of this work, what after like all of these changes, you know, what if we start trying and I can't get pregnant? Like, I just don't know what I'm going to do, you know? So that little bit of fear definitely was there, but at the same time, like I knew it was going to be okay. But so when I did find out, it was actually really funny because we were actually supposed to start trying the following month. So I think I got pregnant in May. We were actually planning on starting to try in June. And I was doing last time we spoke, I don't know if you remember, but I was doing the advanced liver rescue.
Yes.
For like the entire month of May. And it was like my last deep clean before trying to have a baby. So I was like, okay, this is like my last cleanse, my last deep clean out. And then we're going to start trying. And so I was in the middle of doing that. So we were not like really trying. We weren't planning on having it happen then. And so it was like just a huge surprise. We were just like, wait, what? I remember I had been waking up just like feeling a little bit different for a couple of weeks. And I kept telling my husband, I was like, I just feel different. But I kept like chalking it down to, oh, it must be detox symptoms because I'm doing this, you know, this cleanse. But I felt something felt different. Something felt a little off and I couldn't explain it. And I just knew I'd never felt this way before. And then the morning I found out I was pregnant, I remember I went for a walk. And while I was walking, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, like not hot at all. And I just got super lightheaded and I felt really nauseous and like my balance went all weird. Like I had to sit down on the side of the road. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like this is so, I wasn't walking up like a big hill or anything. It was just like walking in the neighborhood. And so I had to like sit down and kind of like wait it out for like 10 minutes to get my balance back. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going home. And so I walked home and I just had this feeling and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe what if I'm pregnant? And so I had those, you know, those little, those like tests. It's not like a pregnancy test though, little strips that you can use to, for ovulation. So like, you know, when you're ovulating and you know, they have pregnancy ones of those as well. So the box I had both. And I peed on the little strip and it was just like full on pink line like straight away. And I was just like, no way. I think I peed on one of those little strips like 10 times in a row because I just couldn't believe it. And then it was like, oh my God, of course you just want to like call my husband. Yeah. But then I wanted to like tell him in a more special way, not while just like over the phone while he was at work. So the rest of the day, I remember I was just like pacing around the house, like didn't know what to do with myself. It was so funny.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That's
Yeah.
so fun though. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. I love it. You mentioned just a little bit about being, fearful of some of your prior health issues coming back, and you were doing the medical medium cleanse and everything like that.
Yeah.
You live your lifestyle off of full 100% medical medium, and I would love to get into how that, if there were any changes in that lifestyle as you
Yep.
got pregnant and kind of worked your way through the trimesters. But first, if anyone is unfamiliar with the medical medium, do you mind just giving a little briefing, just kind of about the lifestyle and maybe just what your normal medical medium diet looks like?
So it kind of looks different for everyone, right? Everybody is very different. Everybody implements the information, I think, whichever way best suits them. Everybody has different needs and different circumstances, right? So I don't think it's like really like a one way fits all. But for me, what that looked like was mostly just my diet. I would say 90% is based on fresh fruits and veggies. For the last 3.5 to 4 years was detoxing my body to bring it back into alignment through lots of smoothies, juices, big salads, just like a lot of fresh food, cut out all of the foods that don't really help your body to heal, foods like gluten, dairy, eggs, soy, lots of fat, oil, salt, just like really minimizing those back down. I never went fat free or anything. I was never giving up my avocado. So yeah, and I still had cooked food at nighttime, lots of potatoes, but yeah, just definitely very clean, very light, lots of teas, lots of just kind of medicinal foods, using food as medicine to heal the body. And so it was really great for that time. It really did its purpose. At that time in my life, I was really in a constant state of detox. That was my goal, that's what I was trying to do. But then moving into pregnancy now, my diet definitely looks very different. I would say I'm still eating very high fruit and veg, a lot of fresh produce. That's the same, but I've brought grains back in again, which I wasn't eating before. So I've been eating more like rice, more pasta. What else? I'm eating more fat, like pregnancy is not a time for your body to be detoxing, right? You're really focusing more on nourishing yourself and nourishing your baby and making sure that of course you need more calories too, right? So that's a focus as well. Definitely need a little bit more density and higher calories, higher fat to make sure that we're both getting everything that we need. And it's been, it's actually been a really, really nice, freeing kind of experience for me. I didn't realize quite how, I think I was very rigid with my diet before and I was so determined and just like really stuck to it for so long. And I think I really needed to do that in order to heal. Like that's what it took for me to get to where I am now. But it's been a really freeing experience to kind of bring back in some of the foods that I really enjoy, that I wasn't eating before, and just seeing that like how far my body has come, because after reintroducing those foods back in, I still feel great. I still feel fine. My body is digesting them well. And it's just been fun to eat more like good food again. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love that you were also just able to incorporate some of the greens and things back in, but that it was such a positive experience for you too. Cause I could see from a mental perspective how that could maybe be a little bit different and maybe a little bit trying, but with just understanding the mindset that you're nourishing your baby and just how just that journey of yours is just so beautiful. How was that for you? Did it feel pretty, like, was it totally natural, or was there any kind of like hesitation that came up with that?
I would say like in the very beginning, it was a little bit difficult just because of, what I know about these foods and, what I know about what they can do inside your body if, you have underlying stuff going on. And, there's really, even though I feel really great now and I've healed so much, there's really no way to tell if there's still, some stuff going on because that's what your immune system is for. If your immune system is strong, it's kind of taking care of that issue for you. The thing is, when you're pregnant, your immune system drops down because it's really focusing all of its energy on your baby, right? And growing this baby and taking care of this baby. And it's not really much about you anymore. So I definitely had a little bit of concern, I would say. Not maybe a little bit of fear, maybe just like a little bit of worry, like, okay, like my immune system's dropping down. I'm introducing foods that could possibly trigger any underlying thing that's still going on inside. Like we just don't really know. It's just like that unknown. You don't know how your body is going to react. And to have not eaten these things for so many years and then to reintroduce them at such a vulnerable, sensitive time as well, it's just like, how's this going to work? But I just knew I needed to do it. I knew I needed more than I didn't want to be in a constant state of detox because it's just not good for you when you're pregnant. And so I didn't really it wasn't really like a choice. I just knew I had to do it. And it was kind of just like, we'll just like hold my breath and see how this goes and just hope for the best. And it felt right. I felt like I was doing the right thing, and I still feel that way. And my body is responding in that way. And my body's really, I think, thriving because of it. So I think that even after the baby comes, I think this is like my new way of eating now. It feels really good and I'm enjoying it. And my body is definitely able to handle it now. Because before, like, especially with the grains, my body couldn't handle it. I'd get like super constipated. I'd get like really backed up. It was just so hard on my digestive system. And I would really feel it every time I would, eat those grains. But it just goes to show how much healing has really happened internally for me, because it's pretty smooth sailing now. So
It's so amazing.
yeah.
I found your journey to be so inspirational beforehand, but now just understanding your body's response and being pregnant and being able to introduce some of these, grains and different foods and things back in, and for you to still respond so beautifully to it. It's just truly, it is so, so inspirational. It's just so, so impressive. But while we're talking about food and things, as whenever we get pregnant and things like that, I know sometimes in the first trimester, especially, we can have very sensitive palates, and just the appreciation with food can be a little funky. Were you still able to, I'm just curious, still have like celery juice and your smoothies, or was there anything temporarily that you were kind of turned off from?
Oh, you don't even know. Like, first trimester was so gnarly. Like, I couldn't even look at anything green.
Wow.
I mean, smoothies, juice, vegetable, not a chance. I could barely breathe oxygen.
Wow.
I just it's so crazy. I don't know if I'm just like really naive, or I never thought about morning sickness before getting pregnant. I think I was always just so focused on, oh my God, if I can get pregnant, that's just like the dream. I don't care about anything else. I never really looked too deep into any of that. And, I think too, like, I don't think a lot of people really talk about their first trimester experience and what comes along with it. Of course, it's different for everyone, but I think what that might be is it may be because by the time usually most people announce their pregnancy, right, they're already well into the second trimester and they're like in the bliss bubble. They're feeling so much better that whole period of first trimester is kind of over and done with, and you're just like so stoked. Yeah. But my first trimester was really hard for me. I was very, very sick, and I know it could be worse. I'm really lucky maybe I'm just a big baby. I wasn't like throwing up every day, which a lot of people get, but just the nauseous feeling all day, like all day, not just morning time. I don't know where the whole morning thing comes from, because for me, it was just like all day from the minute I woke up, and it would get progressively worse throughout the day. Like by nighttime, I would just be like laying in bed, just focusing on my breath and just like crossing my fingers and toes, just like, please don't throw up, please don't throw up. And the other thing too is that my body was just so weak. Like I just had no energy. I could barely like lift my arm. I remember there were times like, my husband would be gone all day because he's at work. And for me to just get up and go and get a glass of water from the kitchen, which is literally like 10 feet away, I would have to like stop halfway and sit down and lean against the wall and just like,
wow,
find the strength to like make it to the kitchen. Like that's how I felt like there was something inside my body just like literally sucking the life out of me. Like there were days that I went like 3 days without a shower just because like I just didn't have the power. I didn't have the energy. So I would say it was like a good, maybe from week 6 till about maybe week 6 to week 10, it was like that. Like I was seriously in bed the entire time. I just couldn't do anything. Like the only thing I could eat was, I just wanted like plain, cold, starchy carbs. The drier, the better. so like plain pasta, but it had to be cold, or just like plain steamed potato with nothing on it, and it had to be cold. And I could only have like a tiny little like baby bite at a time. So it was really rough. And I think it also contributed to like the energy levels as well. But I couldn't even look at anything green. I had intense aversions to smell. Any kind of smell would just like set me off. And it's like my body would just shut down. So it was really crazy. And then, you mix that with the emotions. Like for me, emotionally, I found the first trimester really hard in the sense that I was just worried. I just felt like I was really worried, In the beginning, you haven't really seen the baby yet. There's no tummy. You're just trusting that everything is okay and that, everything's happening the way it should be, but you just don't have any assurance. And, like so much can happen in that time. It's such a critical, crucial time. And yeah, I think I had a lot of like worry of like, is everything okay? I hope everything's going to be okay. And I couldn't really like relax and get excited because I felt really worried. But as soon as we had our first scan and we saw the baby and we saw the heartbeat, like after that, I was all good. I was just like, felt super comfortable. I totally trusted my body. I think I just needed that reassurance that, the baby was okay. And that I think when you're not feeling good 24 hours a day for such a long amount of time, like, and everybody's different too. I think I know I'm very, very sensitive. This is not a new thing for me, but it takes a toll on you, like emotionally and mentally. And I think what was going on with me as well is that it kind of just not feeling well every day kind of triggered me back to my health problems from before, because that's how I used to feel. There were a few years when I was really, really sick and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I was very depressed and I had very bad anxiety. And I think it was like triggering me back to that, like some of the same feelings. So it was kind of a little bit of a roller coaster ride for me the first trimester. And, I've talked a lot about how amazing I'm feeling now and how it's totally different now in the second trimester. But I do think it's important to share about that a little bit the first trimester, because I'm sure a lot of people probably feel the same way in that first trimester. Everybody feels things very differently, but it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. There's a lot of different parts of it and of course too, like your hormones are just going crazy, right? You have so many new hormones pumping through your body at such different levels to what you're used to. So I'm sure that plays a role in it too. But Yeah, my first trimester was pretty nuts. I was not expecting it at all, but I'm
Yeah.
really grateful to have made it out. I mean, I hope this doesn't come across as like I'm complaining or I'm not grateful or anything. It's definitely not about that, but I just want to be honest, like that really is how it was for me. And the best way I can describe it, like the feeling of nausea, it's like, back in the day when you like drink way too much. I mean, I haven't had a drink for years, but you've been like mixing alcohol all night and you get yourself to the point where you're just so sick and you need to throw up. Like you're basically desperate to throw up just to feel better. Well, I was like stuck at that point for like 6 weeks.
Oh, it's funny.
Right there, like where you feel like, oh my God, it would be better to just throw up and get it out. But just being stuck at that feeling for just like all day, every day for weeks on end. That's the best way that I can describe it.
Oh, that's awful. It's so funny. That's how I was actually envisioning when you were describing it. It was reminding me back of the days when I used to drink very heavily and am familiar with that nauseous feeling. That is not fun. And now just even envisioning that, I was just telling my husband the other day, just talking about, heavily drinking and things, of how just the thought of drinking so much and feeling that nausea again makes me nauseous just thinking about it. So
right. It is so crazy because I mean, like I have always wanted like a really big family. If I could, I'd have like 10 kids, no joke.
yeah.
And when I was feeling that way, when I was like that sick, I remember saying to my husband, I was like so upset. I was like on the verge of tears and I was like, oh my God, like I think I'm going to be a one time and done. Like I don't ever want to feel like this again. Like I can't imagine going through this again with another baby, like that you have to take care of. Like, I just don't think I can do it. And so when I said that, he was even just like, whoa, like it must be bad for her to be saying like only one kid. Like he was just like, but he was so amazing. He was so supportive. He took such good care of me. And we, you just do the best you can. And we made it through it and it didn't last forever. Thank God. But yeah, I don't need to be doing that again anytime soon. That's for sure.
Oh, too funny. I so appreciate you opening up and talking so transparently about that first trimester, because in just private conversations with those who are close to me, it definitely is an untalked about subject, but one that I don't want to speak for everyone, but it seems the majority, at least, that the first trimester is really rough, unexpected. You don't know who to turn to. And I think because it's so new and different, and like you said, like you don't have the belly yet, like you're kind of in a weird question state. And it almost reminds me of it, like brings up your past, like shadows in a way, and kind of gets that like full circle, just very evolution-esque.
Right.
So I definitely, I mean, even just thinking about myself being pregnant in the near future and things like that, just, I mean, your story alone right there just settles me not knowing what to expect, but just knowing that we all go through something and we all have different size tanks as well. So, we can only handle what we can handle.
Absolutely. I agree. But I do think it's really important to be honest about it, because I think sometimes maybe a lot of women may be feeling this way, and of course you have no control over it, and then you're seeing, all you really see is like pictures and things of people that are pregnant and they just look like a glowing goddess, and it can make you, I mean, first trimester I looked like a dead person. I'm not kidding. Like I looked like I had the life sucked out of me. Like I had huge bags under my eyes. There was no glow. There was no shine. I seriously looked like a Halloween costume. And it's just not always, that can be hard if you think that everybody else is just this glowing goddess from day one. And here you are feeling like a dead person. Like, I think it's comforting to hear that that's not always the case. Just maybe people haven't really shared that part.
100%. So now you are I know you're due the end of January. I'm not super good on my timelines. Have you entered your third trimester, or are you still in this?
No, I'm still in second trimester. And it's been so lovely. I just want to stay. I want to stay in this trimester forever. I feel like if it stays like this, I could just be pregnant forever. It's been so nice. And it's crazy because going from how I felt in the first trimester, it's just like the complete opposite now. Like I feel so calm and grounded and just so mellow and just very in alignment and balanced out and just very clear and level-headed, and I have a lot of energy and I feel really, really good. So I'm really grateful. I'm 24 weeks now. So I think the third trimester is right around the corner, but I'm praying and like hoping for a nice third trimester like this too. I'm sure things will start getting a little bit more uncomfortable as this tummy keeps growing, but for now I'm just like soaking in all of it.
I love that. And now are you able to eat some more of your regular foods again, like greens and smoothies and everything like that?
Yeah. So as soon as that first trimester passed and I started to get my energy levels back, and I did have to ease into it. Like I couldn't do the celery juice still for like the first few weeks of my second trimester. It kind of made my tummy feel a little bit upset, and I could just tell my body wasn't ready for it just yet. But pretty soon after that, I was basically just back to my normal eating. I haven't had any like weird cravings. A couple times I craved Vegemite toast. I don't know, any Aussies that are listening will know what that is, but I craved Vegemite toast a couple times. But other than that, I've just been eating what I usually eat, and it's been feeling really, really good. I'll eat more cooked food throughout the day though, whereas before I would save my cooked food for night. And I just have been eating really intuitively. Whatever my body feels like, I have it. And I'm really lucky that that's pretty much been my normal food. So heaps of fruit. Like fruit has never tasted so good. This baby was like literally grown on mangoes in the beginning. That was one of the foods I was able to eat, was mangoes, and it was like perfect timing because it was mango season, and they're nice and cold, and that really hit the spot. But I'm still eating like pretty much how I did before.
That's so cool. I've heard, I don't know if this is correct information or I might be getting it mixed up because it's been a while, but I've heard before, I think when you're pregnant, it's sometimes advised to not eat a lot of raw vegetables. I don't know if that's like an old way of thinking or if you've heard that before, or if you've had any hesitation there, or just know that, what you're eating is good for you.
Yeah, I have heard that, and I know that like there's that whole thing about like not consuming bottled juices and stuff that haven't been pasteurized, and yeah, like the raw food stuff, but it just really doesn't resonate with me, and I just don't. It's not something that I've really thought twice about. I'm not worried about it at all. I wash my produce really, really well. I do that. I think it's important to do that when you're not pregnant too, right? I mean, totally. I don't think it's a reason to not eat those foods. I think the benefit of those foods far outweigh any risk of possible like bacteria or whatever. But yeah, I'm just smart about it. I'm aware, and I wash my stuff really good. I haven't had any issues so far. I know everybody's different, and maybe some people think that's crazy or really irresponsible, but I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. I love that. I resonate with that a lot. So it's good to hear that. And if anyone follows you on Instagram or sees you on Instagram, you had a beautiful pregnancy photo taken of you, and you are completely glowing and everything like that. So what you're doing is obviously working. Are there any interesting little like secrets or tidbits? I mean, obviously the first trimester was a whole animal in itself, but is there anything that you've kind of learned or adapted along the way, or anything that you would recommend to any current mamas out there?
I mean, the only thing that I would say about this, and that I have really learned during this experience, is just that our bodies are so smart and they know what they need. And I think our bodies, if you're paying attention, your body will tell you and let you know what's working, what's not working, what you need more of, what you need less of. And I think it's just really important to tap into that and listen to it, because you really have all the answers that you need within yourself. And one of the beautiful things about my pregnancy so far is I feel like I was already very connected to my body before this, but now it's like next level. It's like everything has really heightened. And I think it's just really, really not impossible. I think it's really important to just listen to your body and do what feels good for you. Like, there's so much information out there and people can be extremely judgmental. That's been a really fun part of this, but everybody will tell you what to do and what to eat and what to try. Like, I was talking to my sister about this just the other day. She's actually pregnant as well. She's right behind me.
Oh, fun.
And, yeah. And so we were talking about the fact that how everybody really has so much to say when you're pregnant. Just like everyone tells you what to do, everyone tells you what to try. People check in and are like, well, did you do it? And it's just like, it's kind of overwhelming. And the way I feel about it is that everybody's bodies are so different. What works for one person, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Like, even something as simple as like the whole nausea thing in first trimester, everybody says ginger, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
Ginger didn't do shit for me. I tried ginger everything. I tried every ginger which way there is. And it didn't do anything for me. Like, and that's the thing. People can tell you what to do and there's all this information, but at the end of the day, like, you have to do what feels right for you and what works best for you. And it takes a little bit of practice to kind of quiet out the noise. But I just highly recommend to people to just follow their intuition and follow what feels good for you, because you can never really go wrong that way. If you start trying to make your decisions based on what other people are telling you to do and what you think you should be doing and what the rules say and what Google says, like, I just think it can kind of really start to create more stress for you than what it needs to be.
Yeah. Isn't that so true for everything in life?
Everything, right?
Including health too. I mean, people will reach out all the time telling you like, oh, did you know you actually shouldn't eat that because that does that, or the supplement does this. And I can only imagine in the land of pregnancy where, and it is exciting as we go through things, we learn different things and naturally we want to share and help. But I can totally see that overwhelm and just envision how much is being communicated to you.
I feel like my health journey leading up to this though, like, really prepared me for it. Like, I knew going into this pregnancy, like from the very beginning, I knew people would have their opinions, even just the fact that I'm eating plant-based during my pregnancy. I mean, for a lot of people, that's like abusing your child, right? A lot of people are just really, really, really not okay with it. And I understand why. I totally understand why. So I already experienced that before I got pregnant. When I made all the changes that I did with my diet, people have a say about it all the time. Many people around me, like, I get it and I understand. I knew that this would be part of the deal during pregnancy as well. So I just kind of expected it. And I think it's just really important not to take it personally, right? And I'm not going to just kind of be okay within myself and know that I don't need to make my decisions based on what other people think I should be doing. This is my pregnancy, this is my body, and this is what works for me. And I don't need to explain myself or justify myself. It's totally okay what I'm doing.
Totally. Oh, that's so big too, because it is hard and it's really, it just can be very difficult to listen to ourselves when there's a lot of noise around us. But you mentioned utilizing your intuition and really just trusting yourself and everything like that. I've heard kind of two sides of the story as it pertains to pregnancy with our intuitive and spiritual connection. And I've heard of some women who their connection actually kind of gets a little bit diluted during the process, and then others it kind of strengthens, and they can even feel kind of really in touch with their child and just different senses and things like that. Have you experienced one or the other or had any different spiritual awakenings throughout this process?
Yeah, so I feel like for me, everything has just magnified and heightened tenfold. It's interesting because, I feel like all of my senses are just so extreme right now. I feel like my heart and my soul is just so exposed and cracked so wide open. Everything just feels just so raw in a really good way. But at the same time, like I was mentioning before, I feel like it's really grounded me and just balanced me out emotionally, where, before I used to be kind of like, one of the things that I used to really struggle with was like, sometimes I'd still get a little anxious or feel like I need to like I'd catch myself trying to like control things and like make things be a certain way and like get fixated on things. But I feel like that's all just like really just slipped away, and I feel more emotionally stable now than I ever have in my whole life. And sometimes it like really trips me out. Like I'm just so mellow and carefree right now that I probably should be doing a little bit more than what I am. Like I probably should be like on it a little bit more than I am. But yeah, I just feel very calm and relaxed and very in tune with my body and my baby, and just very aware of everything that's going on around me. I feel I was already very connected to nature before, but now I feel like it's just like at a whole nother level. And so that's been really, really cool. I think that's actually been one of my favorite things about this whole experience, this whole adventure. I think it's done wonders for my relationship with my husband as well, just because, when you're so relaxed and calm, like it does a really good thing for your relationship. I think it's a very good benefit. But yeah, I feel very grounded, I think is the word.
Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
sounds.
And I'm like, how do we keep it like this forever? Like, is this going to go away after the pregnancy, or is this like my new normal? Because I would really like to have it like this forever. I like this new Holly, and I just want to keep her like this forever. I'm curious how that goes after, and if it changes, if you go back to how you were before. Of course, not exactly in the same way, but just what the adjustment is after pregnancy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. I mean, for me, I'm like, wow, okay, maybe we should speed this up. Like that sounds amazing.
But I mean, you never know. Like I've spoken to people too where they've had like a completely opposite experience. Some people that have had multiple pregnancies, some will feel this way, and then the next pregnancy will be like completely different. So I think it also has a lot to do, and this might sound a little crazy, but I think it also has a lot to do with the little soul that's inside as well, and maybe how your energies are kind of mixing, and just what they're bringing to the table as well, personality wise, and just their nature. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's like a little bit more to it
I
as
feel
well.
that. So you've done a lot of work as well from a spiritual perspective and just really becoming in tune with yourself and your life and awareness and everything around you. So for what you are bringing into this world, I'm sure you've got just such a little special soul. And I really think this whole next generation of new babies and everything are going to be very, very
I
special.
think so too. We were just talking about that the other night when we were eating dinner, and I was saying to my husband, I was like, like this is a pretty crazy time for these babies that are coming in now and into next year, that they're choosing to come at a very interesting time. And if I was a little spirit on the other side, I think I would probably stay put for a little while. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, like the same thing. I feel like there's really something a little special about the babies that are choosing to come in now, and I can't wait to see. Like, I can't wait to kind of watch it unfold and see if it kind of becomes clear about. I think babies come with very deep and clear intentions. I think we all come here for specific reasons and with a purpose, and it really makes me so curious. I just want to know like what my baby is coming for,
I
and all will be revealed.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I completely agree. And even looking at you and I and our souls and where our soul lands in this whole journey as well. And the fact that we are experiencing all of this craziness as young adults and soon to be mothers, and within that time frame of living in the 30s, age 30 and everything like that, and where we're and how we are the ones bringing new souls into this world, and just that whole experience, like our souls chose to do this.
Totally. I agree. It kind of like, it really adds that level of like fun and surprise to it. Yeah. Because it's like, I'm sure we all knew on the other side exactly. We all had agreements. We were all very much clear about, how it was all going to be. But I think we forget. And it's just really about remembering what we all came together for. So it's a very exciting chapter ahead. I'm so excited. When I really stop and think about like what is happening right now, and that I really have this baby growing inside my tummy and she's coming really soon, and this is like really happening, I just get so emotional because it's just so amazing. It's so amazing. Pregnancy and birth, it's such a normal part of life, right? In every sense of the way. Like that is what life is. It's birth and death and rebirth, and animals do it, humans do it, but it really, like, once it seems like such a normal everyday thing, but once you're actually like really going through it and it's like really happening and you've never experienced this before, it's just like, it is just next level. Like I still can't find the words to describe it. It's just it's so magical. It's so amazing. And it's just like nothing I've ever experienced before. And I'm very rarely like lost for words. I'm a major writer. I love writing. I love to get really descriptive. And it's just an area that I've never struggled in like communicating my feelings for. But this is totally different.
That's so cool. And just even, in explaining that, not being able to find the right words, but I totally am on that same wavelength with you for sure. I think it's also a resemblance of your deeper connection to nature, which you already had before, but just now how that connection is so much more heightened, and that understanding and just being closer just to those circles and those evolutions of life and death and rebirth and our souls and just the journeys. And yeah.
It's just I think it's like just such a good reminder that there's just so much more. Like there's just so much more.
Yeah.
And I just feel so much closer to that, like being pregnant.
Yeah.
It's like very mysterious.
It is. It's mysterious and like mystical, and
yes, like that. Like it's like otherworldly kind of.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's really hard to like explain and kind of pinpoint, because it's like you've never really been there before. You're like just tapping into it, and it's just very cool.
And then not to mention the fact that your body is literally creating a human, which is insane.
Yeah. It's insane. And I'm at the point now where my tummy was like very slow to show herself. So for the first almost up to 20 weeks, like I literally didn't have a tummy. It was just like this tiny little bump. Like no one would have even known I was pregnant. And for a while I was kind of like, what's going on? Like, where is she? Like, where's my tummy? Like, I hope she's okay. Am I not eating enough? And my midwife kept telling me, she was like, Holly, don't worry. She's measuring like perfect. Everybody's bodies carry so differently. And she said, I have a very like long torso. So she's like, it's like the positioning. She's like probably sitting really deep back. And she's like, don't worry, I promise you, you're going to wake up one morning and your tummy's just going to be there. And then once it's there, you're really going to know it, and it's going to grow really quickly. And I kind of just didn't really believe it. I just couldn't believe it, because it just felt like forever that I had no tummy. And then sure enough, it popped, and it's just been like growing ever since. And now it's just like, okay, like this is really happening.
Wow. Was it literally night and day?
Yes. I swear it was in the same day. Like I woke up in the morning and I like went in the bathroom, looked at my tummy, and it was just still nothing. And like by the end of the day, I went into the bathroom I put coconut oil on my tummy every night, and it was like there. And I called my husband. I was like, "Oh my God, come look, there she is! Like my tummy, it's finally happening! Like my tummy's popped. It wasn't there this morning." It was so funny.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. I love
I know.
it. Now you're having a girl. Did you, with the gender and everything like that, did you have any intuitive feelings before getting full confirmation on the gender that you felt like it would be a girl, or have you always felt that you've even had maybe like a girl spirit baby around you? Or
100%. Like I knew for sure. It's actually crazy because I don't know if we discussed this in the last podcast, but in just like about a year ago, like my life looked totally differently. My husband and we actually separated for a year and took the time to really, I mean, like, you know, that we had a long distance relationship for a long time. Like we kind of skipped a lot of steps, not on purpose, but just because of the circumstances and how it was a long distance and blah, blah, blah. But we just had some issues that we needed to really work on. And it was important for us to do it before having children. So we separated for a year and took that time to really kind of rebuild our foundation and work on our communication, and just kind of, I had individual work to do on myself and so did he. And we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if we'd get back together again. We didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but we just knew that that's what we needed to do. And during that entire time that we were separated, I felt this baby around me. And I knew she was a girl, and I think that she was just, and it's so hard to explain. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a feeling. It's just a knowing.
yeah.
But she was all around me, and I just could feel her. And I really do believe that she brought us back together. I really believe that she was with both of us that entire time and really helped us to do the work that we did and reconnect so much deeper. And it's so funny because I could feel her around me, and I just knew she was a girl. It's just like a knowing. I know it sounds crazy. A lot of people that hear this is like, what the hell is she talking about? But I don't know how else to explain it. But I could just feel her. And then it's so crazy because we only moved back in together this year in March. And as soon as we did, she made herself known, and here we are. So yeah, I think she's pretty definite about wanting to come in when she did, and she kind of waited for a while and gave us a space and let us do what we needed to do, and then she just joined us straight away. So I knew it was a girl. Of course, my husband didn't have that same, I think it's different for men. He wasn't sure. He was still like, oh, I wonder if it's going to be a boy or a girl. But I knew in my heart, I could feel it way before I even conceived. I didn't think I was going to conceive that easily, but I knew I was going to be having a girl. And my husband really wanted it to be a girl. He really, really, really wanted to have a girl. So when we did find out, the ultrasound was really more for him than it was for me. I already knew, but yeah, when we found out it was a girl, it was just really exciting. He was so happy. And it's crazy because before in my life, I think I always wanted boys, just like all boys. Like I didn't want any girls, all boys. And I think it was very much to do with my childhood and the relationship that I had with my mom. We had a really hard time in my childhood. We just really clashed, and we really, it was a difficult relationship for many, many years. And I think I was just very afraid of having that same, dynamic or having it be the same thing. And I didn't want to kind of have that kind of a relationship with my own daughter if I did have a daughter. And, it's all the fear and the stuff that comes with having, issues from your childhood. And so a lot of that was a lot of the stuff that I worked through during that year that my husband and I were separated. I've been working on that stuff for many years, actually. That stuff goes very deep. It's not something you just fix it here. But it's been something that I've done a lot of work on healing from my childhood stuff. And it's interesting. And because then it shifted for me, and I was like, I really wanted a girl too. So it's really exciting.
So exciting and so beautiful. And again, just so much like, I feel like you just are such an example and validation of doing the work and putting the time in. And you start feeling those shifts, and it's not an overnight thing. It's not a one journal entry one time. Like it takes so
no way. Don't you wish it was? Oh my God. I wish.
yeah.
God, that would be lovely. But yeah, absolutely not. It definitely, gosh, that stuff is so deep rooted. It's like when you even just start scratching the surface, it's like then you realize how deep it is. And it's like, oh, do I really want to go there? But it's like, you just know you have to, right? Otherwise that shit never goes away. I just really felt a very deep like responsibility to take care of that to the best of my ability before I had children. Because I know how that plays out, whether you intentionally mean to or not. You know, those things bubble up to the surface, I'm sure, even more once you have kids, because that's like triggering you back to that time, right? And I think it's very hard not to let those things trickle into your parenting. I think that's just, I mean, I'm not a parent yet, but it's just how I felt about it. So it was really important for me. I felt like I owed my children that, to really just kind of make peace with my shit and deal with it the best I could. And I don't think it ever really goes away 100%, but you can really learn how to manage it in a way that's not, you're not then, projecting that onto your children. And just being aware of it, I think, makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Being aware, understanding where it's come from. And even too, for me, at least, just understanding that the relationships we hold right now, whether it's family relationships or friend relationships, but more so family in general, is that they are relationships that our souls are to have with one another in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's that. And it's trying to separate that emotion that comes from that and just trying to look at things with a higher perspective. But honestly, I've been working through, I mean, like you said, it's an ongoing journey. It never really ends, but just even the last couple of minutes of what you were saying checked off a handful of different light bulbs for me that I'll need to write after this, but I had like 3 different aha moments that I was like, oh my gosh. So again, just
we'll have to talk about this again, maybe off air anytime.
Yes.
If you ever talk about this stuff, just call me, because I love talking about this stuff.
Absolutely. Do you follow Sophie Jaffe on Instagram? Are you familiar with you? Yes. I think it's interesting how I love their podcast that she does with her husband and just how transparent they are. But your story was reminding me of hers with her young daughter, who's a toddler, and how she says her daughter has really healed a lot of that mother wound that she's had. And it'll be interesting with your journey, just with the work that you've done, and then just how that plays out between the two of you.
Yeah, I think that's the really exciting part about it, I think, where it's almost like I see it as such an adventure, because it's like, okay, like, this like major change is happening. You're literally bringing a new life into this world that you're like responsible for, and that, you're here to guide and like help them to, be themselves, right? Not to mold them and change them in who you want them to be. But at the same time, like, I just know there's major lessons coming for me too. Like, I feel like everything that I've gone through in my life has like led me to the right here and right now for this experience. And I feel like it's like my life is really like just beginning now. Like, when this baby comes, I feel like we're jumping to like the next level of Jumanji or something, or again, because I don't know what it is and what those lessons are going to be. Like, I have my own kind of like little ideas about that, but I know it's going to be major, and I'm really excited for it. Like, I know it's going to be a good thing.
So exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming back on here, sharing your journey, and just being such a light for so many of us, like I think probably sound like broken record by now, but you are truly just so inspirational. And to me, just such a beacon of light and just proof that, put in the work and just with your pregnancy as it pertains to the physical body and health and detoxing and really staying on that very strict regimen, all for the greater good, of course, for yourself and your body, but just the proof of how healthy you are and how as well that anything's possible. And trust that intuition. It will never lead you astray. And that, we never have to take no for an answer. We can all transform our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to speak to you again. It's always fun talking to you.
I mean, was that not just one of the most empowering and just inspiring conversations ever? I so love Holly. I so love her outlook and just going a little bit deeper with her and chatting more about the spiritual realm of our souls and reincarnation, as well as just honoring our human vessels as they are here physically. Yeah, it was just such a fun episode. I hope that you gleaned as much from Holly's story and can really appreciate where she sits today, as it is so truly exciting. It honestly just brings tears to my eyes with how far she has come in her journey. Like I mentioned before, if you are new here and are not as familiar with Holly's story and where she's come from, definitely head back over to episode 13 to understand the full scope of her journey and lifestyle and really just following the medical medium principles and guidelines. And she is just proof in that the power of plants and their healing capabilities, they really truly do work. You have to put in time and effort and diligence and dedication and everything behind that, but there is so much healing power behind them. It's so amazing. Definitely, if you're interested, feel free to also connect with Holly on Instagram at Holly Hawaii. And you can also definitely go comment on her latest post and tell her congratulations for being pregnant. And let's just continue sharing in the gifts and just really feeling grateful for all of us and our life and our breath and just the sheer beauty that exists within each and every one of us and our life here in this current human experience. And I think that is it. That is all I have to say. Again, I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you did, always feel free to leave a rating and review on the podcast. I would be forever grateful, as it will truly just help us continue to grow and get more ears behind these inspiring individual stories. So if you do leave a rating and review, I will send you a special gift in exchange. All you have to do is simply rate and review on Apple Podcasts, screenshot your rating and review, and then email it to me to lovingyourownsoul@gmail.com. And in exchange, I will send you a special gift. Thank you all so much for tuning in here with me again today, and we will see you again soon.